Hi there, I'm Abby, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make this fabulous dress. It's all done on an overlocker. It's really easy to do. It's one of my quick, easy projects that kids can do, adults can do. You can do the straps on the overlocker. I'll show you how to do that. And you can even hem it using the blind hem, which we've done in previous videos, but I'll show you that again in this video. It's an overlocker job. It will probably take you less than an hour to do if you're jolly quick, and you need to be comfortable using your overlocker. If you're not, go and have a look at the other videos I've created for you to learn how to use your overlocker and to get the best of it for you. So let's draw that simply. We've got a square bodice there, and it joins to an A-line skirt there, and I've added a curve to that. Now I'm going to work out what I need to do for the top here. So I've got two pieces of fabric there. So I need to work out how tall I need this piece, and I need to work out how wide I need this piece. So for the wide, that's easy. So that's our waist, is 65 centimetres. I'm going to allow a comfort space, so I'm going to allow 3 centimetres for comfort. And because I've got 2 seams there and 2 seams there, I've got 4 seams in all, I'm going to allow 1 centimetre each for each seam. So if I add that up, 72 centimetres. So that means the whole of this circumference is actually 72 centimetres. I'm not going to cut out one tube at 72 centimetres. I'm going to cut out a quarter of the front piece, which will be the same as the back piece. And that, if I divide that by 4, that gives me 18 centimetres. So the template I need to draw now, it's got a waist of 18 centimetres. And I'm going to place that on the fold. Okay. So now how tall do we want this? How tall we want the bodice? So that's going to be 20 centimetres along there. But we need to add a seam at the top to fold it over and hem it. So I'm going to allow 2 centimetres up there. So bodice, let's put that there. Bodice height equals 20 centimetres. So 2 centimetres at the top fold, and 1 centimetre to join the skirt. I'm going to call that seam allowance. So we need to make that 23 centimetres. So there we go. That's our bodice template. Let me put a red circle around that so we don't lose it. There we go. So for the skirt, let's just draw a line there. So skirt. Now, how long do we want this skirt to be? We want that skirt to be 45 centimetres long. Okay, so I'm going to draw my skirt to be half that shape. So it's going to go straight across there, down, and it's going to curve round there. So it's going to curve around there. So that's got to work out to be 45 centimetres at the end. I'm going to hem at the bottom, and I'm going to sew this top to the bodice here. So I'm going to have a 45 length, 45 centimetres. I'm going to add 1 centimetre for that seam allowance at the top. Let's call it a seam allowance there. And we're going to add 2 centimetres there for the hem. That's 48 centimetres. So I need to make sure when I cut my template out that that's 48 centimetres. And because it's rounded, that's got to be 48 centimetres as well. We're going to keep it very simple. So I'm going to freehand that curve. That's going to be straight. And if you remember rightly, that's going to be joined to the waist. So it's going to be 18 centimetres. We've already worked that out. Okay. How easy is that? let's mark that so we know what our templates need to look like. Now I've got my first straight line. I need to draw a rectangle that's 23 centimetres by 18 centimetres. Let's do that. I have my tape measure. So we'll mark that at 18 centimetres. I'm going to go down 23 centimetres. Mark it there. Just draw another straight line going across. There we go. So that's my waist, 18. Just join those dots. Now, as you saw in my template, I marked where I need to place this pattern on the fold. So right, big fold on there so you can't miss it, and I'm going to call that bodice. Okay, and we need to cut to, you could write the measurement of it, so waist 65 centimetres. So because, let's go back to this, our top of our skirt is the same, I'm actually just going to draw my skirt coming from there. I need to come down 48 centimetres. Okay, so we're coming down 48 centimetres. There we go. And from there, you can decide how much curve you'd like on your pattern. I think I'll just go for something like that. And I'm going to measure 48 centimetres there. And there we go. If I draw that line there. And then I'm going to straighten up this line. So match that line going across the paper, like that. And then freehand draw. So rather than with a Sharpie, I'm going to get a pencil. And just draw a nice curve coming in. There we go. All right, now you can change that as much as you want. You can adapt these patterns to how you want them. And it's so easy and so pretty. Why wouldn't you use it? So then just cut this out. Let's just remind ourselves to put this on the fold. We're going to call this a skirt, and we're going to put cut to, and it's for the waist of 65 centimetres. Again, give it a name. Now, I've got a great tip for you. If you want to keep hold of these patterns for a while, this is what I do. So, get your tape dispenser, grab a piece of sellotape, and place tape on your lines. So it's not quite long enough there. So when you come to cutting it out, make sure they're long enough. So when you come to cutting them out, they're there to keep forever, and they will last much better for you. Make sure you cut them neatly. Don't rush it like me. Now, if you wanted to add any sort of shape to your bodice, if you want to make a sweet line shape, you want to make a heart shape, you can do that. Or if you want to add a little curve going in or up. You can do that. I'm keeping it very simple and very straight for beginners. Here we have our fabric folded over. Make sure we've got good sides together, only because it's easier to do it this way for you in the long run. Make sure that's all nice and straight. Make sure these are nice and straight. Don't worry about that not being straight. If that's not straight, don't worry. That's because it's not being cut right. Match the selvages, and that will give you a weave going straight. Not necessarily true with cottons, but it is with scuba because it's a knit and it's usually woven neat like that. Okay, so there we go. So I've got 2 folds there. Just fold it over neatly. And I'm going to place it so that the 2 folds are on this side. So now watch out because of the mismatch up there. Don't lay your pattern piece right up to the top. You can. Now, if like me, you find that you're slightly short, you could actually just come down a little bit less so you're not having to cut it out twice. It's only a marginal amount and it really doesn't matter. I don't like to pin my fabric that I'm going to sew. If I can avoid it, I will. Pin elsewhere, because if you're going to pucker your fabric or damage it somewhere else. Pin here and around. And this is a great project for kids, teenagers who want to make a summer dress for themselves. It really is. And actually this pattern suits a lot of adults. I've seen this in New Look, in River Island, H&M. So I've seen this pattern come up again and again. And when you have a daughter who wants to buy them for £15 a shop, when you can buy the fabric for next to nothing, it doesn't happen. So just draw around the fabric and then remove the pattern and cut it out. So here's the machine ready and set up. You can see there I've got lots of different colours on there ready to use on this summery fabric. If you don't know how to thread up your machine or you struggle, go and watch the video where I show you how to do it. Just click on the card above and I'll go through it step by step with you. It's helped lots of people and I'm sure it will help you too. So before you do any stitching, you want to make sure that your sewing machine is producing the stitches that you need for this particular project. So we can start with the 2 straps first. And I'm going to show you how I do the strap. So I need a long string. Doesn't matter if it's not as long as my strap. Just bring it round to the front there. Fold it into the strap that we're going to turn over. Flip that over. And I'm going to keep this strap level with the edge of the foot. So the first part's always a little bit tricky. Let's put the foot up, pull on that loop and bring that down. So I'm encasing this chain, that extra long chain that I've created, into my strap. Keep that pulled. Don't stretch your fabric though. And as I overlock this, I'm eyeballing, keeping my fingers away from the knife, but I'm eyeballing this seam allowance here. Even though they've got marks up here, I don't actually like using them because I don't always cut exactly straight. I like to know how wide my cut's going to be. And then just make sure I'm pulling. Can you see what's happening here? I'm pulling that through. So just pull my chain through and keep carrying on sewing, making sure the chain is away from the edge of the foot. Don't cut off the wrong chain. And then we're going to pull that through. So pull on the chain, and to help ease it through, I'm going to help tuck that in the top there. And then if you pull, just pull, go. Oops, it's quite a tricky thing to do, tricky to show. So, and you'll start seeing it come through the other end. And there we are. We've put the strap through, so we can actually pull on the fabric. But again, don't pull too hard. You don't want to hyper stretch your knit. And there we go. There's our strap. Really easy, really nice. I'll just cut that thread off. Okay, so that's one strap. Let's make the other strap. Just put that away. All right, so we have our two straps. Brilliant. So let's just put them to the side. Keep them for a minute later. So we've got our two squares and our two skirts. And you can see, what helps you see is that it's a triangle shape and it's a square on the top. That will help you and guide you into seeing patterns on how you want to create this. You can see I've not cut this out well, so I will neaten it off on the machine. So we do good sides together. Let's move that piece across over there, and we flip that one. Whoops. Flip that one over there. And we're going to put good sides together, and we're going to stitch this end to this end, and we're just going to go straight across on the overlocker. Make sure that the pins don't get caught in the overlocker. So I like to pin further away over there. Like that. I'm going to pin the other end. Make sure they match. So further away, we're not going to have any accidents, and just smooth that so it matches. There we go. Right, so they're matched up. Little bit of a peak there. Let's take that pin off and match it a bit more. So smooth it down. Okay, and just whiz across that, the overlocker. So you can see why I allowed a 1 centimetre seam allowance. Now, make sure you've got your differential feed correct, because when this comes out, it needs to remain as a straight, not wavy, not puckered. So make sure you've done that correctly. Let's do the same with the other piece, the back. Okay. Now, I'm not going to use a pin this time. I'm just going to go straight for it. But as a beginner, you use pins. And if you don't stretch your fabric and lay it out nice and gently, you'll find they match perfectly together. Okay, so we now have our front and our back. Now, if you want, you can do your hems now, and that will make it easy, and add the straps on. So we could do that now. Okay, So what we're going to do is we're going to add the straps to our dress. So now we have to decide which side is going to be the front and which one's going to be the back. Flip this round so it's easy for me to do. So this is my front, and I'm going to bring it in 3 inches. 3 inches is, let's have a look in centimetres, 8 centimetres. So let's do it in centimetres. We're going to mark this at 8 centimetres. We'll do the same on the other side. So 8 centimetres. And it will vary child to child, adult to adult. You place it where you want, but this is just for me to stick with as standard. Keep the seam on the inside. I'm going to pin it this way, like that. So fold this over 2 centimetres. And just put a few pins in. Now you measure this when you do this, and do the same on the back as well. You need to make sure that these are correct on both sides. Now when we're doing a blind hem on an overlocker, just like you do on a sewing machine, you flip this over this way. Okay, so flip that over, and then what you need to do is reposition the pins. Take that pin out. Reposition the pin so that I have a little bit of the edge showing there. So just make sure my strap underneath is straight. Make sure I've got the strap, and then I'm going to remove the pin from the strap so we don't have any accidents. Okay, so carry on with that. I'm going to add another pin there. Just remove that pin from there and just replace it on the back here. Just have a peep of fabric poking out. Move that over. So just there as well. Just take that pin out and place it this way. Have a bit of fabric peeping out, take the pin out and place it this way. Okay, if you struggle with that, just go back, rewind and redo that. Let's do the blind hem. Just make sure our straps are level and they are sitting straight. Tuck this into the machine. Now I'm going to bring you in closer so you can see what I've done. You hear it crunch a bit louder as it goes over thick fabric, layers of fabric. And there we go. And that's our blind hem. Right, so let's just check that. There we go. So that's the blind hem done. So that's what it looks like. And when we pull the straps over, it's going to sit like that. You will need to press that. Let's get rid of our extra chain there and the chain there. Okay, so give that a press, and let's repeat with the other side. Find your mark, lay it on. Now, good side. Fold over the fabric 2 centimetres. And pin. Just make sure it's nice and level all the way across. all we're going to do is flip it over, fold it over like that. There. Flip that pin over. So, take the pin out of the strap and redo it on this side. And let's go. And then we're going to just pin those at the top there. Now, if you're a little bit more advanced, what you would have done is sew the side edges first and then in one swoop done this hem on the top. But I think it might be a bit tricky that way. I'm going to pull those two serge lines downward there, and they've matched up, so that's a good sign. What we need to do is just go along this side here. Just make sure we've got this side done, and then we'll do the same on the other side. Move the pin. Make sure our seams match. Now, the neat way to finish the overlocker, let me show you. So what you do is you go through the stitches, the loops, thread these through the eye of the needle, get them all through, and then pull the needle back through your loops like that, and that just neatens the edge so you've not got dangling threads. So go through the loops of your serging, make sure you go catch as many as you possibly can, then grab these ends, twist and turn, feed it through the eye of the needle. Oops, do that again. Feed it through the eye of the needle. Okay, we've got that, and then pull it through. And there we go. And that's the neatest way to finish your overlocking. So just buy yourself a long tapestry, but there's a mismatch there. And you can, if you want to, just trim that. It's not an issue to just trim it and just round it up a little bit. No one's going to notice, so don't panic, don't worry about it. Just match it up. If anything, you'll notice how beautifully even it is. Secrets of the trade. There we go. Match that up, and that's looking good. We're going to fold it over 2 centimetres and then just fold it back that way. So fold it over, so 2 centimetres, fold it up back that way. Now you might not want to do that, you might want to just overlock the end and just hand stitch it, which is fine, or you can use a twin needle on your sewing machine. Right, so there we go, there's the dress made on the overlocker. So you have the option of hemming that by hand or by twin needle on the sewing machine if you don't want to do it on the overlocker. You can finish it with just a serged edge which sometimes looks just as good like that. But use a little bit of steam